Hi, my name is Gabby and welcome to my channel, Gabby on Paper. In today's video, we are talking about bank bonuses and credit card turning. To help me out, I have my boyfriend, Andy.
Hello.
I thought I would bring him in because we do this together and he really is the expert on credit card points.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll try.
I think the majority of what we're going to talk about today is going to be credit card points, but we are going to start with bank bonuses because that has been a nice influx to my cash, and it's what I focused on last year. So in 2024, I made $1,400 in bank bonuses. You can see right here the different bank bonuses that I focused on. Mine are the ones in purple. Andy's are the ones in blue. He was nice enough to keep track for me because prior to last year, I never kept track, and it's something that I've been doing for years. But last year, when I decided I was going to go on a solo trip, I decided to go a little bit harder than usual. Yeah, so thank you. So when I first decided that I want to work on a bank bonuses, I typically just Google best bank bonuses May 2025 and it'll bring up, various results. I typically just go to the NerdWallet result that it pulls up, and it will list just what's available that month. Oh, my mouse is not working properly. But it'll just list like what's available and it'll rank them. It will give you the different requirements for each bank, telling you what the bonus is, the monthly fee, and just kind of like a breakdown of what the requirements are. It will also link the promotional offer, so you can just click on it and it'll take you right to the website where you can sign up. And I have found that to be the most useful website, I feel like. So each month it'll change depending on what's, available.
This is the spreadsheet we use to track the bank bonuses that we've been working on or have completed recently. So as you can see, we've got a couple colors here. Mine are listed in blue and Gabby's are in purple. So it's pretty basic, but we just like to keep track of obviously the bank name where we're creating an account, and then the type of account. And the dates are really important because a lot of these requirements are like get $5,000 of direct deposit within 90 days or something along those lines. So we'll note there in a column when we opened it. The sub date, that's just sign up bonus date. So that tells us the requirement on when we have to hit whatever the requirement for the sign up bonus is. We keep track of the bonus dollars, and then when we are finally paid, we put that date in as well. And a couple other things to keep track of would be the requirements, obviously. So as you can see here, there's a variety of them, but a lot of them just have X dollar amount of direct deposits within a certain time frame. So if we're looking at my blue ones here, that top one, US Bank, that one's a bit bigger, but it's $10,000 in direct deposits and enroll in online banking. And they give you 90 days to do so. So I think I had a annual bonus from work coming or something, because that is a high number, higher than you're used to seeing, which is why I signed up for that one. As you can see, the numbers are lower for all the other offers. We got $1,500 direct deposit, $500, and so on. And also we do keep track of when the account was closed. The reason we do that is because a lot of times you are eligible again at the same bank after you haven't had an account with them for so long. It could be a year, 2 years. So it's good to know that date. And then another thing to consider is a lot of these accounts do have monthly fees. There's ways around that. So if you have, for instance, this US Bank one at the top, they require you to have $1,000 in direct deposits a month, or else they will charge you a monthly fee. Usually $5, $7 at the high end, maybe like $12 a month, but you do want to avoid that because then it cuts into your profit on the bonuses. And the last column we keep track of here is close requirements. So some of these banks, they don't care. As soon as you get paid out the bonus, you can close right away. So we mark those as bonus paid. Others, they don't love that people run through these accounts so quickly, so they make you keep the account open for a little bit longer. As you can see, like that Huntington Bank, for instance, we have 90 days in the close requirement. So that means you have to have the account open for at least 90 days after you receive the bonus, or else they might claw it back. So certainly don't want to do that, since you put all the effort into getting the bonus. You don't want it to be taken away for some technicality. So yeah, it's good to keep track of this information. Obviously, there's probably more stuff we could keep track of, but these are the basics, and it seems to be working for us.
But I feel like it's pretty minimal work, though, even with keeping track of all these numbers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say like maybe we put an hour of effort into each of these accounts at the most, like opening, closing, things like that. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't make $400 an hour. So that's a good rate. Maybe one day.
Yeah. But I always try to make sure that I close all of my accounts, because I definitely don't want all these different accounts open everywhere. And I don't want my paycheck to be split up between all these accounts. So I try to make sure that I finish one account, close it, before I move on to the next. So I just don't want I have my Wells Fargo account, which is my main account, and I have an account open with Chase that I opened when I first moved to Chicago, just because there's Chase locations everywhere and I want to make sure I can withdraw cash. Other than that, I usually have like a Churning account going, but I don't want like various like Churning accounts open at all times for the sake of simplicity. So I like to close it before I move on to the next.
Yeah, because then it kind of becomes work keeping track of all this stuff, and yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. But if you can manage more than one at a time, more power to you. But yeah, we generally like to focus on just one at a time and then move on to the next bank, whatever offer is happening at that point.
Yeah, one weird thing is for this BMO account, it says here $25 per month, but if you remember, they never actually charged me that fee.
Well,
so
nice.
I was like ready to pay the $75 for the 3 months that I had to keep it open, and for whatever reason they never charged me, so I was like, all right. So that was nice. All right, so now we are moving on to credit cards.
So, moving on to the credit card section. So this is something we really started maybe diving into just about a year ago. I think, Gabby, you had a couple credit cards, like travel points cards before that, but just kind of randomly over the years. But I don't know, I was looking for a new hobby or something. I don't know what happened, but I decided to kind of dive into this. We wanted to try to minimize travel expenses if we could, and kind of just look into what we could do to do that. So we have a spreadsheet here that we keep track. But before that, I don't know, what was your story? Because you did have a few credit cards that you received points with before we kind of got into this.
I don't really know. It's like I started with the Chase Sapphire Preferred. 1 year randomly, I decided to sign up and get the sign up bonus. It was 80,000 points. I know I hit it the first month, and I know that's because I recently looked into when I received my points, and it was in the first statement. But prior to that was 4 years ago. Prior to that, all of my credit cards were really basic cashback or like store credit cards. But I didn't know anything about using the points. I only use them in like the Chase portal, the travel portal. And then I did know that I got a good like sign up bonus, because I think the basic bonus was 60,000 points and I got it at 80,000 points. And then a year or two after that, I think it was a year after, I signed up for the American Express Platinum. Again, I still didn't know anything about using the points or their value. I did know that I was waiting for a good sign-up bonus. I waited until I got to 150,000 points, but again, didn't know anything about their value or how to use them. I knew that the American Express Platinum card had a lot of benefits for the pretty hefty annual fee of like $700 a year, and I knew that I could get enough benefits to make that be worth it. But again, I didn't know how to use it. So I started with those two.
Yeah. That is a good thing to note, because with a lot of these cards, kind of the travel cards that give you the best benefits, they do have annual fees, so that is something to consider. Some of them like $700 for the platinum. That's crazy. That is one of the, if not the highest. But some of the others are more manageable, like $100. I have one that's $300. That's like the max that I have at the moment. But you do want to keep that in mind. But I like to look at it as just kind of like an advance on travel, because if I'm paying $95 for a card, but I get points that are worth almost $1,000, I mean that's still incredible. So yeah, we started diving into this in March of last year. So Gabby actually, kind of without knowing it, got a couple of the best cards right off the bat. That's after I was nerding out and kind of reading everything. The Chase Sapphire and the American Express Platinum are really good ones. Me personally, I started with the Capital One Venture card, which is another great starter card. But if we look at the spreadsheet here, so again, I am blue, Gabby's purple, and as you can see, we kind of alternate, and we'll get into why a little bit later. So I opened the card in March, and again, they give you a sign-up bonus date, so it's a spending requirement. So in this case, I had to spend $4,000 on this card within the first 3 months, and if I did so, I would get 75,000 bonus points, or Capital One miles, I believe they call them miles. We also like to keep track of the fees to see how much this costs, and then we'll dive in a little bit later, but you can be referred to these cards from a friend or family member. You can also refer them, and they will get a bonus as well. So yeah, we went through that one really quickly. It's kind of astonishing when you have this dollar amount, how quickly you can spend $4,000, especially like when you don't think you're spending that much. So we, like I said, we've been doing this about a year now, a little bit longer, but we have been focusing on the cards that have what's called transferable points. So these are all cards you probably heard of. Capital One, as I mentioned, we got the Chase cards. They have a handful, and American Express. So when we say transferable points, what that means is you can actually transfer Capital One, Chase, or American Express points to a list of airlines or hotel partners. So that way you're not in the box. Like if I were to get a Southwest credit card and they gave me 50,000 Southwest miles, that's awesome. But then you have to strictly look at Southwest flights, which might not be the best for when you're looking to go on a trip. So this is nice to give you some freedom. And so yeah, the major ones, like I said, Chase, American Express, and Capital One. We haven't gotten to this point yet, but once we kind of run out of options on those, then we'll probably start digging into like a Southwest card, United, Hilton, whatever we think might be helpful at that point. But we're kind of new to the journey here, so we're still working on the transferable points. And that was actually something I learned when I started looking into this. So with all of these, they do have travel portals, so you can actually go to americanexpress.com, for instance, and book from there and use your points. However, you can get a lot better value a lot of times if you actually transfer the American Express points over to their partners. So they have, I'm not sure how many at this point, maybe 10, 15 different airlines. A lot of them are international, and a couple of hotel chains, and a lot of times your points will stretch further if you actually transfer them to those mileage and hotel partners. We both started with the lower fee cards. So Gabby with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is I believe $95 a year. Me with the Capital One Venture, also $95 a year. We just felt like dipping our toe in like that rather than going into one of these like premium expensive cards like an Amex Platinum is the way to go. And then once you get comfortable doing stuff like this, then you can see there are a lot of benefits to those cards as well. But that's the route that we took. So the best starter cards that I would recommend would be the Chase Sapphire Preferred, the Capital One Venture, and as we're taping this, I don't know if this is taping, but those actually have like the best offers they've ever had. It's 100,000 points for the Chase card, and I believe Capital One has $75,000, but also a $250 travel credit. So both those offers are better than what we got at the time. So if you're thinking about it now would be a good time. And these do change all the time, so it's good to check, online to see what kind of offers are going.
It looks like I got that. The Capital One Venture, that was mine.
Oh yeah. If you look at that, Gabby actually got that. So they ran that same promotion a while back. She got a better offer than me somehow. So yeah, that does actually bring me to a pretty awesome point on these. So I mean, as with a lot of things in finances, personal finance, there are benefits to teaming up with a partner. So in this case, it could be anyone, a spouse, a family member, a friend even. But you can actually refer each other back and forth to these cards, and not only will the person signing up get a bonus, but you'll get what they call a referral bonus as well. So as we mentioned, Gabby has had the Chase Sapphire Preferred card for 4 years, and she actually referred me. That was the second card that I got. So not only did I get this 75,000 Chase points up for that, if we look on that column on the right, she got an additional 10,000 for referring me. So this is something that's really common for people that are super into this. So you get a card, you refer, I get a card, I refer. So it just really exponentially increases you're able to stack up points a lot more quickly. And so if you have a friend, family member, or spouse that's willing to do this, it's fun, and we kind of nerd out on this stuff. And
now you're about to refer me again.
I am, yeah. So Gabby has had the Chase Sapphire Preferred card for coming up on 4 years. They don't let you get multiple of those until you haven't had a sign-up bonus for 4 years. So that's why it's important to keep track of those dates, because she will be eligible for this new offer, the 100,000 point that I was talking about, which is amazing. And I'm going to refer her and get 10,000 on top of that. So it is perfect timing for that. So good job applying 4 years ago. Another thing to consider here, as you can see, we've gotten a handful of cards each over this past year. So there are rules regarding this. They're kind of unwritten rules. So with Chase, for instance, they have what people refer to as the 524 rule. So what that stands for is 5 cards within 24 months. So if you go on like a crazy spree getting a ton of cards, if you get more than 5 new cards, and this could be with any bank, it doesn't necessarily have to be Chase. If you get a Capital One, 2 Chase cards, an Amex, and a Discover, and you've gotten 5, they'll likely automatically deny you for any card that you apply for. So you can't go completely wild and get 20 cards. You have to be strategic about it. But yeah, if you want to look into that further, they refer to it as the Chase 524 rule. It's a rolling 24 months. If you are planning on getting into this and get a little addicted like we have and start getting a ton of cards, that is something to consider. That's the basic principle, the 5 cards in 24 months, but you could look it up. It's called the Chase 524 rule, and that'll kind of give you more detail on that. There is a ton of information out there about all of this stuff, like tons of sites. The one that I've chosen and I've had some good luck with is called Frequent Miler, and they have a ton of info on here, like crazy stuff about how to maximize your points and all that. We haven't used a lot of ours yet, so we haven't gotten that far down the rabbit hole. But a great place to start is on this Best Credit Cards Offer page. And they will actually show you, so as of May 2025, what the best offers are. So there's a little bit of a disclaimer here, but if we scroll down, they do list business cards as well on the right, but the best consumer cards. So you can see those top 2 we've already discussed, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, Capital One Venture, and they actually list them in order of what they think is the most valuable at the moment. So those are atop the list, and as we scroll down, we got American Express Gold and tons of others. There's a lot of cards out there. But this is kind of what I use. If you click on each of those, it'll give you a listing of like if there's been a better offer recently, or if this is like a great one. If they know when it's going to end, they'll tell you that as well. Yeah, I actually learned that they had a podcast. It's two middle-aged guys talking about credit card points, but it's more exciting than you think. And, it's already kind of saved us maybe a couple $1,000s over the few trips that we've kind of applied their tips for. So I would recommend that. They get a little deep into the weeds, some crazy stuff from time to time. We're still kind of beginners at this, but there's a lot of information that's helpful.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely, if we used all of their tricks, really
they're
get a lot of points.
They're wizards with that stuff.
I don't know about that.
We don't want it to feel like work is the thing.
We're not trying to buy like gift cards at Staples and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, but yeah, we try to keep it simple. Just sign up for a card here and there, rack up the points, and we still have a lot to use, but they are quite easy to use. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different cards out there. I know we've talked about a few here. The cool thing about kind of playing this game is these different cards, they give you different earnings rates. So we've talked about sign up bonuses, but you do continue earning points just with everyday spend. They don't rack up as quickly unless you're spending crazy amounts of money, but it would be good to kind of consider what you spend a lot of money on. So for instance, like the Chase Sapphire Preferred card that we've been talking about, it gives you 3 times points, so 3 points per dollar on all restaurant purchases, and then 1 point per dollar on other, like anything else that doesn't qualify as a restaurant. So yeah, if you go out to eat a lot, that could be a good one. Even bigger than that, so if you buy a lot of groceries and go out to eat, the American Express Gold card, which I do have personally, that is, I don't know, considered like the foodie card, because you actually get 4 points per dollar on anything you spend at restaurants and grocery stores. Oh. So yeah, those can rack up really quickly, and there's a huge list. Some of the other cards are more simple. So like the Capital One Venture, for instance, it doesn't have these bonus categories like get more points on restaurants. It's just a simple flat 2 miles per dollar. So that's nice and easy. Anywhere you go, you're getting the same amount. So it's a simple card. So I guess it kind of depends what you spend your money on, or if you want to keep it nice and simple and just get one of the standard rate cards. Maybe we can do a deep dive on some of this stuff later if you guys are interested in that, but that is something to keep in mind. So the sign up bonus is a big chunk of points, but you do continue earning points for just, your everyday spend. So as long as you can pay that thing off, it's good to use these rather than like a debit card, so you can get something back at least. So this might be a bit confusing. We talked about the transferable points earlier. So the easiest way, and there's nothing wrong with doing so, is to book on these sites like American Express Travel, Chase Travel, Capital One Travel, and they'll give you they'll allow you to just kind of book anything, click, and it's very easy. So very, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But as I kind of got deeper into this, I learned that you can actually kind of stretch your points further, get more dollar value if you transfer the points to partners, like I mentioned. So flights, for instance, there's a lot of tools out there where you can, it's essentially like a Google flight thing. You say, I'm going to go from Chicago to London. These are my dates. And it'll spit out like the best point offer. So the one that we've been using it's pretty easy to use. It looks nice. It's called Rome.travel. So we're going to pull that up here. So we're going to use my example, Chicago to London, picking a random date in August, just for an example here. It's a bit confusing at first, but so what this does, it gives you a list, and all of these are the same, but we can scroll a little bit later and see that there are more options. So just like any travel site, it gives you on the left, so United, the airline you'll be flying, time. But if we look at that column, you can see the American Express logo and city logo. So what this means is that you can transfer American Express or city points. We haven't gotten any city points yet, but yeah, that's another transferable partner. and you can transfer those to the frequent flyer program over there, Velocity, which I hadn't heard of. I had to click on there. So I believe it's Virgin Australia. So here's where it gets a little tricky. So all these airlines, or most of them anyway, belong to like, I think they're called like alliances. So just groups of airlines and their partners. So in this case, you would actually go to the Velocity site or the Virgin Australian site and search for your dates, and they will allow you to use their points to book a United flight. So that's not always the case. Sometimes you'll book a United flight with United points, but the best value a lot of times is with these international or smaller airlines. That's kind of the loophole. It would be 30,000 points, for instance, and that is Velocity points. So the transfer rate of all these is usually 1-to-1. There might be a few outliers there. So essentially 30,000 American Express points will get you these flights. You can see a little plus sign with $32.80. A lot of these will charge you, I don't know if it's taxes or some sort of fee, usually pretty minimal. So yeah, be using 30,000 points, you got to pay $33, but then you're good to go. So that's one example.
And this is a one-way flight.
One-way flight, yes. This site, maybe if you have the pro version, it allows you to do round trips. We do the free one. We're like to minimize our fees with this whole hobby, this whole thing we're doing. But you just pick one-way flights. So yes, that's an important note. Okay, so another example we've got here. This one's a little bit less confusing. So JetBlue, you can see JetBlue, the airline you'll be flying on the left, and then JetBlue points, TrueBlue, that's their frequent flyer program on the right. So with this, it's just a simple transfer, and JetBlue has a lot of partners. So we've got American Express, Chase, Citi, and then Capital One and Marriott Bonvoy. What I like about this site is it gives you all the transfer partners, so you don't have to go back and forth to the sites to see what type of points you can send. So you could just go to JetBlue. You will have to go to the American Express website to transfer the points to JetBlue, but honestly, it's like an immediate thing for most of these. You just type in your JetBlue number, the number of points you need to hit transfer, and at least in our experience, it's been there within 5 minutes, so you can immediately book your flight. So
it's true.
So yeah, this is just another tool. There's again a ton of these tools out there that you can use, but this is the one that we've been using.
And then the one for hotels is rooms.aero.
That's one of the main ones for hotels. So rooms.aero, same thing. Just type in the city you're going to. It's just like booking travel anywhere else, and they'll tell you which one's a good deal and not. So
and I'll link both of these down below.
Yeah, obviously, as you can see, we've gotten excited by it. It's very exciting to get these sign-up bonuses and see the points rack up. You can see in the short presentation how useful they can be. Important thing to note, though, is, and we had to check ourselves on this, because a lot of these spending requirements can be kind of hefty. Spending $5,000 in 3 months that's a lot of money. We got a little carried away from time to time, might have bought a few things we maybe didn't need in the name of getting these points. We've since, we're a little bit smarter now. But that's one thing I just want to flag. You don't want to overspend just to hit these bonuses. The bonuses are great, but if you're wasting money to get them, it kind of does defeat the purpose. So yeah, just make sure. And also, you guys are, I'm sure, budgeters on this channel. So it's best not to carry a balance on these things, because, any interest payment that you have to make along with the annual fee of the card, once those start racking up, the points, they're nice to have, but it really is kind of, it negates them. So yeah, that's something, we don't keep balances on these things. We try not to overspend when hitting the sign up bonuses. So I think that might be the end of my spiel. I think Gabby might have an announcement that kind of deals with this stuff. Okay, so yeah, I think that is it for me. Hope you guys didn't find this too boring. I had fun doing this. Who knows? Maybe I'll start my own spin-off channel soon. Probably not. But anyways, have a good one. I'll leave Gabby to her announcement.
Bye. Thank you.
See ya.
He's so silly. When I tell you that I've been trying to get him to film this for like 2 weeks, and he's been like, no. And then I struggled through this multiple times, and I was just blabbing for so long. And I was like, I can't do this. I just like don't know the information like he does. And finally he was like, I'll do it. Because I had him locked in the room. And he finally agreed to help me. Maybe now that he got over the fear of being on camera, he'll join me on more videos. I thought he was good. I so appreciate him. Yeah, he just has spent so much time learning about churning and credit cards, and I just go to him. I don't go to him. He comes to me with his knowledge. And I have learned so much from him without asking to. No. He's just shared it with me, so I appreciate that. But anyways, now on to my announcement. So at the beginning of last year, I decided I wanted to go on a solo trip. It was too close to when I wanted to do it, so obviously there was just not enough time to save up the money to do it. I wanted to do it in May while Andy was on his golf trip with his friends. He goes on a yearly golf trip with a bunch of his friends. At the same time, that's when I wanted to do my solo trip. And it was just too soon. So I decided to start working on these bank bonuses to save up the money to go on my solo trip. I also sold a pair of golf clubs that I put towards this. So then I was like, okay, I'll go this year in 2025 in May when he goes on his golf trip. At the beginning of this year, I decided that this was not the year. I was so down with everything that was going on in the world, in our country, just didn't feel like the right time. Just a lot, it's been a really hard year for me, personally. But then about 2.5 weeks ago, I was on Instagram while Andy's sister was visiting, and I was like, oh, how fun. I saw a reel of 2 girls going to Paris for 3 days, and I was like, I would love to do that. I should do that. 3 days in Paris sounds awesome. What I didn't realize was that they lived in London. And so, yeah, they can do a long weekend in Paris. It's 2 hours for them, a 2-hour train ride, 3-hour train ride or something. Not a long flight, like a 9-hour flight. So I got it into my head that I wanted to do a 3-day weekend in Paris. I'm not going to Paris, by the way. But I was like, yeah, I should go on a long, a 3-day trip somewhere fun like that, like a European trip, 3-day trip. Crazy. I don't know. So I got that idea into my head that I should be working towards that, not specifically this year, but that's what I should be doing at some point this year. And I didn't specifically think it should just be me. I was thinking maybe my sister should come, or that I should do that with Andy or something. So that was a Monday night, I think. And then by the next morning, somehow that turned into that should be a solo trip. So I was talking about it with Andy. He was into the idea. And then I called my sister on my way to work, and I was like, what do you think of this? And I kind of thought that maybe she would want to come with, because my sister is oftentimes I just want to go with you. And honestly, if she had asked, I might have been like, fine. But she didn't. And I'm kind of glad she didn't, because I wanted to do a solo trip for so long, and I think that's probably why she didn't, because she knows how long I've wanted to do a solo trip, and it is kind of short notice. Like, that's a lot of money to come up with in such a short period of time if she hadn't been planning on doing it, you know. And I mean, I don't know how much money she has saved up for travel, but yeah, she was like, yes, you need to do that. You should do that immediately. And it took me a few more days after that, like 4 more days of like going back and forth on whether I should actually do it. But then, yeah, we ended up booking a trip. But like having like pretty much having like the go-ahead from Andy and the go-ahead from my sister. Obviously, I don't need anybody's permission, but it's like having their support, you know? Yeah. I booked a solo trip to London. I can't believe it. I am going to London by myself in May. It's May right now, and I'm going to London by myself in May. Absolutely nuts. I cannot believe it. Yeah. When I initially thought about taking a solo trip, my first idea was Florida, like the Tampa Bay area, somewhere there. I was kind of thinking just check myself into a resort and lay on the beach and read a bunch of books and just relax, which is still something I'd love to do. But I don't know. I'm just like dying to go to Europe, even though I did go to Europe and I went to Paris in October 2023. I'm just dying to go again, and I don't want to wait any longer. I decided to take things into my own hands and go immediately. Yeah, I'm going to London by myself. It's not a very long trip for financial reasons and just because I will be by myself. So it's like, if I was going with someone else, it'd probably be longer, but I am so excited. It does feel like a little bit of a spontaneous trip because I am a planner. Like a trip like this, I'd probably book like normally like 6 months out. So the fact that I booked it less than a month before the trip, let me tell you. Yeah. I booked it 4 weeks before the trip. That to me feels spontaneous. One of the things I did want to mention is I did pay for my flight, but my lovely, lovely boyfriend decided to let me use some of our Chase points, because all of these are family, are together, like household points. All of our points we use together as a family. He let me use our points to book my hotel, so I didn't have to pay for it, so I would have spending money for the trip, because he's so lovely. Not only did he take time out of his day and get over his fear of being filmed to film this video, he also let me use 100,000 points, which is a ton, to book the hotel. I've just had a really rough year. It's not been good. And I worked so hard all last year, all of this year, and he says he's just like the nicest. I don't know. anyways, here's a breakdown. It's 4 nights. I'll get there. So I leave one day in the evening, like at 6 p.m., get there early the next day. So I'll have like that full day, 4 nights, and then leave 11 a.m. the 5th day or whatever. So non-stop flights from here to London. I used 29,000 points for the first night, 29,000 points for the second night, and then 21,000 points each for the third and fourth night, for a total of 100,000 points. What's crazy is I looked up these prices today before I filmed this video, and these were way higher when we actually booked them, like, I don't know, like a week ago or whatever. The first night was like 700 pounds. So I don't know what's happened, that these prices have gone down significantly. So when we booked them, we were actually getting a way higher value for the points that we used. But still, it's actually a pretty good value for the points. If we were to book them directly through the Chase portal, because we use Chase points, this would be 1.25. Each point would be worth 1.25, but here it's worth 1.74, so 0.49 more. By transferring them to Hyatt, which is a partner of Chase's. We have found that Hyatt gets the best value in terms of a hotel, for at least for Chase points. And the great thing about booking through Hyatt is that once we pay with points, we have not had to pay any extra like taxes or fees or anything once we get to the hotel. So we pay with points and that's it. We do have to put a credit card down for like the deposit or incidentals or anything like that, but we haven't had to actually pay a bill at the hotel at all for any extras. It's been amazing. That's why when we travel, we've been looking for Hyatts, and that's why we value Chase points so much. So it's been awesome. We have loved this credit card turning journey that we've been on for reasons like this. Like, I did not have to pull $1,700 from my budget to pay for hotels. I was able to just use points, and we still have points left over, obviously. And we're hoping to get another credit card to replenish these points starting on Monday. The Chase Sapphire Preferred that I'm going to be signing up for. And once we hit that bonus, these points will be back in our accounts. And yeah, I am super, super excited. I can't wait. This time, since I will be traveling by myself, I am definitely, without fail, keeping track of every last penny I am spending so I can put together a video of how much money I have spent on this trip for you guys. Because I think it'll be very interesting. I'll keep track of the pounds. I don't know. I'll keep track of every US dollar, I guess, because it will be converted on my credit card. And then the very last thing I want to mention is that I am going to be linking all of our referral links down below in the description. I have like the Amex Platinum. I don't know. I'll link my referrals and Andy's referrals down below, because like right now when this video goes up, I don't have a Chase Sapphire. I'm waiting to open one in like a day or two, but he does. So we'll put everything down below, and then I'll update the description once I do have my referral. The 100,000 point referral is only, I know we were looking it up and it says that the promotion is ending soon. So if that is something that you're interested in, I would sign up sooner rather than later so you can take advantage of that sign up bonus. But again, if it's something that you don't think you can hit, don't sign up until you know you can, because you don't want to waste the sign up bonus. You only get it once in 4 years. So save it for when you can. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you haven't done so already, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. Bye.